Today we're going to discuss one of my favorite Japanese tales. It's called the Peony Lantern, or Doro in Japanese. I thought it would be cool because I really like this tale. It's really interesting. But first, this is like not the cover, but like some traditional Japanese art from one of the books, because this is one of the oldest like tales in Japan. Not the oldest. That one would be Kagura Hime, but it is one of the oldest. It dates back to before the Edo period, which is medieval Japan. And it's a really famous kabuki play, which is a traditional Japanese kabuki. But it's also a really famous kaidan, which is a Japanese story. It's one of the most famous kaidans in Japan, because it's like one of the first. It entered Japanese literature from Chinese literature. It's an adaptation from a book of Chinese ghost stories called, in English, it would be translated to New Tales Under the Lamplight. But a lot of them really contain Buddhist moral lessons, and that's why they were translated into Japanese. But yeah, it became really famous in the Edo period because during Edo period Japan, there was a really this really big craze for kaidan, and therefore this kaidan in particular has been adapted to different Japanese settings. The first one originally took place in the Nizu district of Tokyo, which is now the capital of Tokyo. Back then it was called Edo, which is why that period in Japanese history is called the Edo period, because it's kind of defined about where the Japanese capital was. That's how each period gets its name up into the Era period, which is what we're in now, which just is based on the Japanese emperor. But yes, so there's many different adaptations of the story. And the one I was gonna read is from Kyoto instead of Tokyo. Peony Lantern. Every year from the 15th through the 24th of the 7th month, the people of Kyoto set up altars in their homes to perform memorial services for the spirits of their deceased ancestors. I should have asked if you guys can hear me okay. I'm dumb. It's too late now. Paper lanterns are made as festival decorations. People place light lanterns on their altars or hang them visit the graves and put them on the graves of the deceased in front of tombstones. Each lantern is delicately painted with like designs of flowers, birds, trees, and other plants, and throughout the festival season, they're left burning all night long. You can see them as you drift through the city streets. The seventh month of the Japanese calendar during this time is the Obon festival, which is, you can think of it as a Japanese Day of the Dead, or Festival of the Dead, which is pretty much what it is. I'll go into more details about it later. But the story is just that there's this lonely samurai whose wife recently died, and he's just home alone, depressed. He looks out the window and sees this pale, beautiful woman just appearing out of the fog in front of his house, walking along carrying this pony lantern. He's so stunned and amazed. He goes out there to talk to her. They end up they end up sleeping together, right? And then sleeping together, and then they just do this all night for a whole week. As the week goes on, this man is getting sicker and sicker, and his neighbor's worried. It's an elderly neighbor. Elderly neighbor is so worried that they that they decide to peek into his house at night to check on him because he's so sickly. As he's peeking into the house, he sees his neighbor, who's a samurai, sleeping with a skeleton. So he goes to the nearest Buddhist temple, goes to the nearest Buddhist monk to get his neighbor some help. The monk gives him a protective amulet that protects him against evil spirits. So he gives the amulet to his neighbor. His neighbor's too sick to do anything with it, so the samurai is too sick to do anything with it, so his neighbor puts it out on the door frame. And that night, the woman, whose name's Suyu, can't enter the house, right? So the samurai was like, "Oh, you can't enter the house, and I want it so bad." So he leaves the house, right? Yeah, he was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, we can go back to my place. So, yeah, the next morning he's found dead in Orisume's grave, sleeping next to her skeleton. Well, dead next to her skeleton. And that's the summary of the story in English. And again, this is art from the story. And this is what the Japanese name means. The first two kanji mean tree pony, which is the flower that's written on the lantern. And the second kanji just means lantern, which they can be broken down to mean light basket. Which is, yeah. But yes, Orisume, I didn't mean to do that. Orisume would be classified as a yorai. A yorai is just a Japanese word for ghost, which the kanjis can be broken down into faint or dim, spirit or soul. The yu is faint, and rai is That's hilarious. You're, that's hilarious. But yeah, there there are many different types of yorai in Japanese culture because they're mostly based on like why they're spirits and such. Hi, Chris. But like yorai are completely different from yokai, which again, yorai are just like departed human spirits. But yeah, they happen when a person dies and the reikon, which is the soul, the different parts of the soul, leave the body and purgatory until they get their proper funeral rites performed. But like different yokai are made from different emotions. So if a person dies and it's violent or sudden, they become one type of yokai. Or if they're really influenced by like powerful emotions such as revenge, love, jealousy, sorrow, hatred, they're turned into a different type of yorai, and they can come back to the physical world until they like reach peace, and then because they haven't reached peace, they can't go into the cycle of reincarnation. That's hilarious. Ah. But from like this story, the Yurei was really driven by her lack of love, which is why once she got love from the samurai son, she was at peace, even though she took her quote unquote beloved with her. There's a bunch of other stories where like the Yurei are driven by like different more powerful emotions such as Yotsura Kaidan, which is the other famous Kaidan in Japan, where the Yurei is also a woman, but she's more driven by revenge than love. I might cover that one later because that one's really, really interesting. But yeah, like Yurei are what you would find in the ring, right? The spirit that came out of the goat, out of the TV, that would be classified as a Yurei. Yurei have a really like signature look of like a white kimono, which has the right side over the left, which is what they do when they bury their dead. Don't quote me on that. I could have got those sides confused. But white kimono, pure white kimono, they usually, because they're Japanese, have stereotypical long black hair. That's usually really like stringy because they're dead. And they're really pale because they're dead. But yes, this picture is a famous ukiyo called Bakamono no E. It's an old one. But yeah, the white kimono is from Shintoism. White's the color of ritual purity. But most of the ghosts that wear white kimonos are usually from like the Edo period. Again, also Yurei, you can't really see their what's it called? You can't really see their hands and feet. They just just dangle there lifelessly. But yes, and sometimes they wear the hitodama, which is a small triangle thing on their heads, but that's only with like males. Or sometimes their hitodama are like floating flames they have around them, or like ghostly lights. in eerie colors, sometimes white, sometimes blue, green, purple. But yeah. But yeah, there are different types of Yurai based on if it's a based on Shinto and Buddhist. They each have like their own types of Yurai. Yeah, yeah, purple. Shoujo, like the anime anime category. Wait, shoujo. Is that a ghost? That'd be cool. Give me a second. Oh, sea spirits. That's cool. I'm gonna look into that, Chris. I'm gonna add it to my list. Oh yeah, the different types of ghosts. I got distracted. There's Yonio, which are the vengeful ones. They're vengeful. They come back from purgatory because they've been done dirty. Yubame are a mother ghost that died during childbirth or died leaving young children behind. So they will just come back to take care of kids, sometimes kill kids. Or the Gyoryo, which are vengeful ghosts from like the aristocratic class. Funa Yurai are ghosts that died at sea. Sometimes they come back like, oh, scaly, fish-like, or like a mermaid. That'd be terrifying. Or the Shashki, Shashki. They're children ghosts. They're mischievous, but those little shits are dangerous. There also there's a different classification of those called like guest room ghost. Like they just haunt guest rooms. They just like stay in there, just fuck with you while you're sleeping. Might poke you. That's terrifying. Just imagine sleeping, wake up, boom. There's a kid. There's like Furuyurai, which are like ghosts that don't have any particular purpose. They just wander around aimlessly, and they aren't bound to a specific place because some ghosts can be bound to a specific place, which are the Jaibankirai. Those are the ones that are bound to a specific place. So like from the grudge. But like the Buddhist ghosts are the Jaki or the Chiki Niki Niki. Yeah. And then there's also the living ghost, which is the Ikiuro. Like it's living ghost, or like when a part of your soul just leaves your body just to fuck with like one person. So it's just like how do I there's this story. It's called the tale of Jinki, where this woman is this woman had some husband. Her husband is a noble. Nobles are able to take on consorts, and he wants this young woman as his consort. So his wife, so mad about this, right? That part of her spirit leaves her body, just to fuck with this like 20-year-old girl, making her sick, right? And the only way that it ended is the girl had to do these ritual rites, and then this man's wife ended up dying because, again, part of her soul left her body just to fuck with them. It's not. It's an interesting story. I can go into more depth about it. But yeah. And also, I found it really interesting that Yurei have like a preferred haunting time, kind of like how the Western West has like witching hour, which is what, like 3 o'clock to like 4 o'clock, and then like peak witching hour is like 3:33 in the morning, right? So the preferred haunting hour for Yurei is mid-time of the hours of the ox, which is 2 a.m. to 2:30. It's like, guess they have shit to do the rest of the day. I'm just joking. It's because that's when they believe the veils between the worlds of the dead and the living are at their thinnest. Just like during witching hour. Which is interesting. Don't you think? But yes, there are many different types of ghosts that I didn't cover here, such as like angry ghost, the hungry ghosts, which are more Buddhist things. It's when your soul, when you've done too many, when you're too greedy, right? Your soul becomes greedy, and then when you die, whatever you were greedy for in your life is what your soul just goes to being greedy about, and that's why you become an angry ghost, a hungry ghost. It's interesting, but also another thing that was brought up in this story is Obon. I like Obon. Obon is a very interesting holiday when you really look into it. Like, Obon this year is August 22nd. It's the week of August 22nd. It's a summer holiday. It is, again, the Japanese Festival of the Dead. It's when, it's a Buddhist custom that honors spirits of one's ancestors or, like, family that have departed. So they make a bunch of lanterns. They decorate these lanterns. And they put them on the graves. They put them everywhere. It's very beautiful, as you can see from this picture. It depends on like the area. Some areas do it earlier than other areas because of the heat, but most areas do it in August, and sometimes it lasts a few days. They get a whole week off from work to celebrate Obon. But yeah, it's sort of in the Meiji area. In the Meiji era, era. But yeah, it's really, they have these festivals. They even have like the Obonori, which is just the dance. It's a traditional dance. Depending on areas, it changes. Performed during these times, they have like elaborate traditional costumes, which is amazing. It's great. They have like traditional songs and such, and like the traditional costumes are, they have like a bunch of masks because it's believed that like they wear masks because they believe their ancestors come back from the dead, right? And the lanterns are so they can find the right house. So it's believed the costumes are there in case the ancestors want to dance with their living relatives. And it's so cool.
But yes, does anyone have any questions? Because I'm a nerd. And also my Japanese teacher, she likes to tell us a lot about the culture because again, a lot of language is really cultural. Like if we took American slang and gave it to someone who does not speak English while they're learning English, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Like if they ask me, "Hey, you want to go somewhere?" and I'm like, "Yeah, no," they're like they'd probably be confused, right? Or like sarcasm or like small things like that that no one really notices are like cultural, right? So she teaches us a lot of culture and a lot of like facts, like fun facts. And I thought it was really cool. And I like sharing them. I also like learning on my own. Because, like, I have this podcast, though, right? And it's a good podcast, though. I suggest it to people in my class, too. If I talk to people. um, that's an interesting question. That is an interesting question. Because, like, if you believe in that, where does that stop? Where does that go? But then again, matter isn't created nor destroyed. So where do souls go? What are souls? So, do we want to have a deep philosophical? That's a deep question. You know what I was trying to say. I was trying to say philo, philo, phil, too many Japanese words. My mouth doesn't make L's anymore. Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. And I know you're not correcting my pronunciation. This is hilarious. But yeah, that's definitely what that question is. An endless world of possibilities. I OCD. But yeah. Because, like, there were recently, like, a bunch of festivals. Because, like, again, my Japanese teacher likes to teach us about different festivals. And recently was Valentine's Day. Japanese Valentine's Day is completely different from, like, I guess US or, like, Western Valentine's Day because of cultural differences. Also, Setsubun passed, which is Setsubun is bean throwing holiday. Why do they throw beans? Why do they throw beans? Because ogres don't like beans. Japanese ogres, to be exact. Oni. Oni don't like beans. It's weird. It's a really weird thing. It's just because, like, they're soybeans. They're roasted soybeans. But yeah, that's why I like learning all these things. Cause, like, again, cultural oddities.
And like again, it also helps with my Japanese. Mostly. Most of the time. And I can pronounce words.
So yes. Ooh, wait. Give me a second. Let me see a thing. Uh, hmm. I don't want to get off. It's just fun. I have another presentation, but like, wait, no. How do I? Um. Hmm. I might stream again. Give me 5 minutes.
Because I don't want like one topic and then like it is I still stream and it's like a completely different topic. Give me 5 minutes max. I'll be back.